All right, guys, how's it going? I just recently saw that I got 2 more subscribers to my YouTube channel, so I'm up at 38 subscribers. So we're making a little bit of progress there, and considering the fact that I just don't really make videos that often, I guess that's kind of impressive that I'm getting a couple of people out there to find my videos and subscribe to them and whatnot. So the last video was actually about Metroid Prime, and I made this video basically in response to Metroid fans especially, for just having their priorities out of whack. It seems like the only thing they care about when it comes to Metroid is the graphics, the visuals, and right now the only thing they seem to be concerned with is the release date. Now, Nintendo had recently doubled down and said that it is coming out in 2025, so a lot of Metroid fans were just relieved by that, and that's what prompted me to make my last video, where I basically was just calling them out for being really stupid, in my opinion, for only caring about a release date and not really caring about the fact that there hasn't been a lot shown to us. There hasn't really been, as far as content goes, what the story is about. Why is the word Beyond in the fucking title? I mean, is this really going to be a big epic game, or is it just going to be another standard average Metroid Prime game that just has good graphics? So I made that video, and I even went as far as to say that, Retro Studios is not Nintendo's most talented studio, or game developer for that matter. That title belongs to Sakurai. And what is funny about that is that just today, it has been announced by Nintendo that we are getting a Kirby Air Riders Direct tomorrow. And what's awesome is that it's going to be a 45-minute Direct for that game. That is great. That's good news, and I really hope that it's going to be an epic Direct. I hope it's not just going to be really lame stuff. I hope it's not going to be them just talking about how they developed the game and developer interviews. I hope they don't waste our time with stupid stuff like that. I'm hoping the reason it's going to be a very long Direct is because they're going to have a lot to show us. There's going to be a lot of content. There's going to be some really cool fighting mechanics similar to Smash Brothers, but, it's a Kirby racing game. Don't forget, this is Sakurai's game, and it's a game he's been wanting to make for a long time. So I've never played the original on the GameCube, but I did watch videos of it when I saw the Kirby Air Riders games, trailer back in April. And so that made me interested in the game, especially knowing that it's made by Sakurai. And when I watched gameplay footage and I saw that it's got like different modes and whatnot, and I could see they had a lot of things in it that looked kind of Smash Bros-esque, I would say. I thought, okay, this definitely has a lot of potential to be fun. A Kirby game, a Kirby racing game that has a lot of combat in it, big worlds to fight in. Maybe you'll have like hundreds of players in the same map, just total chaos. Who knows? It definitely has a lot of potential. And like I said, Nintendo has been doing this trend of making their games bigger and better than before. All right? The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World. I mean, they took Mario Kart and turned it into an open world racing game. So I want Nintendo to keep following this trend, and I want every other studio out there and every major IP to follow this trend as well. Doesn't mean that every game has to be an open world game. Metroid needs to be much bigger than every other Metroid Prime game that ever was. It doesn't have to be open world, but it has to be much bigger. It has to have many ways to progress through the levels and missions and things of that nature. Anyways, I just saw this video from Rob of Rule of Two Review, and it was a really stupid video. Now, before I say what he says or whatever, it basically starts off, like he made a clickbait thumbnail and title saying Kirby fans and Metroid fans hate each other. But then he says, he puts in the title clickbait, and he also puts clickbait in the thumbnail. The whole purpose of clickbait is that you don't tell people it's clickbait, just so you know. So he did that, and I thought that just defeats the whole purpose or whatever. But I wasn't really sure what the video was about, but we're going to get into it. Basically, it's about the fact that people are upset that we're getting a Kirby's Air Riders Direct tomorrow instead of a Direct focusing around Metroid. However, it seems to be like they're more upset that we're not getting a release date. It makes way more sense to be upset that we're not getting more fucking footage of the game. But anyways, let's get into this. Let's see what Rob has to say.
Boy, oh boy, it has been a busy and dramatic morning in the world of Nintendo and gaming news out there today. And a lot of wild happenings are going on Twitter this morning, and even I've been a little bit roped into all of this stuff, and so I figured maybe it would be a good idea for me to hop on camera and just kind of talk out my thoughts and perspective on all of this weirdness that's been happening this morning. And yes, by the way, I never do this, but I did certainly clickbait you with the thumbnail. So
no, you didn't, because you put clickbait right there in the title and in the thumbnail, but whatever. Let's kind of fast forward this.
The thing is, it's actually a good piece of news that sparked this whole weird back and forth that's been happening on Twitter, at least from what I've seen that's been happening on Twitter this morning, because that's just kind of the circle that I run in and whatever. And it's a good thing, but there's been a reaction, and I shared my own version of this reaction as well. And so there's this whole crazy conversation going on. The quick and the dirty of it is that this morning it was announced that tomorrow there's going to be a Kirby Air Riders Nintendo Direct, a 45-minute show, which is really wild. And I will talk about that maybe near the end, because I actually think that this is kind of cool. And for a game that I didn't know if I was going to care about, this is actually exactly what I want. I've said before, I played the original Kirby Air Rider on the GameCube. I did not like it or care for it, and so I never revisited it. And when Kirby Air Riders 2 was announced in April of 2025, 4 months ago, I was like, okay, like, I like Kirby. I love Sakurai. And I'm excited for the Switch too. So I'm going to remain open-minded for Kirby Air Riders 2. Wait to see more about the game. And there's a great chance I end up deciding to buy and play it. And so getting a direct focus on the game that I'm not sure how I will feel is exactly what I want. I am very excited to watch the show. However, the reaction and the response by a lot of folks, myself included, okay, has been, what about Metroid Prime 4? And I am the Metroid guy here on the internet.com. And so naturally I had my own version of this sentiment, because it certainly seems weird that we're going to get significant new news and updates about Kirby, a game we don't know anything about, as opposed to Metroid, which we've known about for 8 years. It was rebooted 6 years ago, basically 2019. It was rebooted. We've already seen footage, as a lot of people use as a counterpoint, which to me is exactly why the next game we should get an update about, and by update I mean a release date, should be Metroid and not necessarily Kirby.
All right, so right there he just said that he doesn't need any gameplay footage. We already got that. That's what he says, right? And so all he's looking for is a release date. That's it. Just a simple fucking release date. Anyways, let's continue real quick to see what he has to say.
Even though this is a smart thing, it's something I'm excited to watch. I'm all about a Kirby Direct. It's a good thing for everybody. But why Kirby before the game that was announced 8 years ago? Before the game that was rebooted 6 years ago? That's the weird thing. Before the game that was rebooted 6 years ago. That's the weird thing. So just for transparency, a lot of people started reacting, some people more harshly and shittily than others. My reaction to this, I was like, what? This is crazy. And I said, okay, I guess. Nintendo, do you hate us? Do you hate me? Look, I'll watch, and I'm curious to learn more, but this is insulting at this point. What the fuck are we even doing anymore, man? That was...
Okay, so that tweet, now I would understand that tweet, right? I would understand him making a tweet like that if it was because he wants to see more footage of Metroid Prime 4, if he really wants Retro Studios to, actually sell us on the fucking game and give people a reason to buy this game. Because, Rob says he wants Metroid Prime 4 to be as successful as The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. He wants it to have that same kind of success. Yet at the same time, he wants it to just be a standard Metroid Prime game, which is just fucking stupid. It's not gonna become successful if it's just gonna be another standard Metroid Prime game that doesn't do anything bigger and better than the previous games. All right? And so that tweet, him putting that tweet out like that, at first, I mean, I could understand it if he's upset that they're not really marketing the game well, because that's what's pissing me off with them, is that they have not shown anything to be excited for other than how good the game looks, other than its graphics. Okay? But Metroid fans like Rob, who, I mean, it seems like these certain Metroid fans are just diehards who all they care about is the lore of Metroid. And that's it. They just care about the lore and whether the graphics are going to be nice, and that's about it. Yeah, I think that's just a load of horseshit. I feel I'm a Metroid fan too. Maybe not as big of a Metroid fan as Rob, and the reason is because they they just don't really. They're always, single player games that are fun to play through one or two times, right? They don't add much content to it the way Sakurai adds content to games like Super Smash Bros. So I do want to play more Metroid. I've been playing through Metroid Prime, Metroid Fusion, and that's a really fun one. The only two Metroid games I've ever been in was Metroid Prime and Metroid Dread, and I loved both. Loved both games. I do hope someday I can beat some other Metroid Prime games and 2D Metroid games. However, getting back to the topic of the video, he puts that tweet out there, and it's pretty much just a fucking crybaby tweet. Just, oh, do you hate us? Do you hate us, Metroid fans? What the fuck are we doing? And at first, when I first saw this video, I'm thinking, okay, is he finally getting upset because they're just not doing a good job of marketing the game? They have not shown enough content. But no, that's not what it is. It's not the fact that they hadn't shown any footage. He doesn't need any footage. The only reason he is pissed off and just, fucking crying is because we have not gotten an official release date. And I just find this to be so fucking asinine, because they already said the game's coming out in 2025, and he's going to mention that here in this video, that they already doubled down and said it is coming in 2025, so who cares about a release date? Why is that so exciting to just get a release date for a game that doesn't even look that fun to begin with? They hadn't shown us anything exciting about this game. They showed us Planet Viros. That was the only thing we've seen so far. And they've also showed us the new psychic ability. And yet it's the most lame... It's the most lame psychic ability ever. Because all they've shown that we can do with it is open doors. Not control enemies to, get into certain areas or anything like that. Nothing cool like that. No, it's just open doors, and you can control your projectiles, so that way you can, blast through 3 enemies in a row, which is useless if the enemies are going to be as lame and as pathetic as they've always been in Metroid Prime games. So I just find this to be fucking idiotic that he would get so angry about a Kirby Air Riders Direct being announced tomorrow, and yet all he's wanting is a release date. Do you need a Nintendo Direct for a release date, Rob? Nintendo could easily just tweet that. They could just tweet tomorrow, after that presentation is over, they could just they could just put a tweet out that says the date for Metroid Prime 4, if that's all you care about. So this reaction to me is just really stupid. Now, if you were complaining that there's a lack of marketing, footage, and hype for the game, I would understand. But you're only complaining because there's no release date. That's a very fucking dumb thing to complain about. And it's really making me dislike Metroid fans right now. Because I want Metroid to be a success. You guys just want to keep it in a box, keep it in its own little box where, only you guys get to enjoy it and love it. And, no one else is going to really, care for it because it's not going to have multiplayer or it's not going to have any other fun game modes attached to it. Anyways, let's continue.
The tweet I shared in initial response to seeing this because clearly I was hinting at and insinuating, where is Metroid? Why are we getting the Kirby information before we get the Metroid date? The Metroid date. That is the one thing that I think most of us Metroid fans are looking for. We're not looking for like the biggest blowout and tons of footage and trailers. We're not looking for Metroid to replace every single other game on the Switch 2 slate. We just want the date for a game that they've been telling us is 2025, and we're past the halfway point of August. Like the runway for 2025 date announcement and release date is certainly getting short. It's
all right, again, see, this is just so fucking stupid. He just made it clear, crystal clear. It's just the date. We just want the date. Okay, asswipe, you can fucking get the date. You can get that through a damn tweet. Why do you need that in a Nintendo Direct presentation? That is what confuses me about this whole reaction from him. He's complaining because, we just want the date. We don't want any footage. It doesn't have to be this awesome blowout thing. Which it's like, really? You're a Metroid fan, but you don't want Metroid to be this epic game? I don't get that. Again, this is what I mean about these Metroid diehards who, they're just like, Metroid's going to be good no matter what. We don't care if it's this big epic game. We don't care if it, doesn't appeal to a broader audience. Just keep the game in its own little box or whatever, only for us Metroid fans to enjoy. The whole thing is just so fucking stupid. It's like, why would a Kirby Air Riders Direct, like, what does that even have to do with a release date for Metroid Prime 4? It makes no sense. If that's all you're looking for, why would they even need a Nintendo Direct for that? That is something that could just be tweeted, or Nintendo could have a small little video with a pathetic little gameplay footage and then just say coming out in October 1st, whatever. You know what I mean? But somehow getting an announcement for Kirby Air Riders for tomorrow that is a 45-minute presentation somehow bothers these guys and makes them think, we're not gonna, they're giving us this instead of a Metroid Prime 4 release date. The logic there is so fucking stupid. It's just stupid logic. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. So fucking dumb. No, you know what we need? We need a big-ass 40-minute, 1-hour Metroid Prime 4 Direct. That's what we need, not a damn release date. If all we get is a fucking release date, if that is all Retro Studios has to offer us, then you know what? Fuck that game. I would much rather see Kirby Air Riders, which may have a shit ton of content and fun things to show us, instead of a game that's just going to be a disappointment. And I'm really getting sick of, he's getting mad at Nintendo, right? Nintendo, do you hate us? Why don't you ask Retro Studios that fucking question? Ask Retro Studios if they hate you guys or if they just hate Nintendo fans, because these asswipes have not been giving us games. They've only given us in the past, good grief, 20 freaking years. What have they given us in the last 20 years? All we've gotten, to my knowledge, is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Yes, it's a fun game, but it's a game that's only fun to play through one time. And I am a huge Donkey Kong fan. That's my favorite Nintendo character. But you know what? Donkey Kong Bonanza completely blows that game out of the water. So they've given us, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. That was on the Wii U. Then, many years later, for the Switch, we got Metroid Prime Remastered. So just an old GameCube game, a good one that I enjoyed, but just a game that's already been made before, and it's just been remade with far much prettier visuals, and that's it. And for whatever reason, nobody is upset or dissatisfied with Retro Studios as a game developer. but we're going to complain at Nintendo because they're not giving us that release date. Don't be mad at Nintendo. Be mad at Retro Studios for the lack of games they have given us. All right? That's who you need to be mad at. Be mad at them, and if they're going to just give us another standard, mediocre Metroid Prime game, and they're going to slap the word Beyond in it to make it seem like it's going to be this big epic game, if it's just going to be another Metroid Prime game. That is what's so infuriating about this stupid reaction. And he keeps saying, Metroid fans like me, so I don't know if he's just choosing to speak on behalf of other Metroid fans, or if there really are a bunch of Metroid fans that are like-minded. It is kind of annoying when people do that. They they want to speak on someone else's behalf, and it's like, are you really speaking the thoughts and opinions of these other people? Or is it just your thoughts and opinions and you're acting like this is what they think as well? So I don't know if I should just even continue playing this. I should probably skip it, but let me see. So blabbing about Metroid Prime 4B, Prime 4. Let's see what here. Predicting the Kirby Direct.
This whole thing is just insane, and I was like, I want to chime in about this a little bit here. And again, it was very important for me to mention, again, speaking for me, I'm not mad at Kirby, I'm not against Kirby, I'm excited for this Direct. It's just the choice to do Kirby before Metroid, given how old one game is versus the other. Like, it's just insane. But I'm going to watch this Direct. I'm excited for it. So let me just spend a couple of minutes quickly talking about this, because there's a couple things I want to bring up. The tweet that Nintendo shared about the Direct, they say, join us on August 19th at 6 a.m. Pacific time, which is my time, for a Kirby Air Riders Direct with director Mr. Sakurai. The live stream presentation will last roughly 45 minutes and provide an in-depth look at the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 game. So, again, let's take the Metroid stuff out of it for the last few minutes here. That's cool. That's exciting. I can't wait to see this, because I hope to learn that this game will be enticing to me. And even though the original game didn't excite me at all, I hope to learn that the sequel is going to excite me. And it's like, great, I have another fantastic first-party Nintendo game to purchase for my brand new Switch 2. That's what I want, and it's even what I expect. Now, a couple people have pointed this out. 45 minutes dedicated to a Kirby Air Riders game is insane, because the Donkey Kong Direct and the Mario Kart Direct were only 15 minutes. Kirby Air Riders, in theory, is probably going to be a simpler game than something like Donkey Kong Bonanza, for example. So,
okay, first of all, you don't know that. Like, I don't know why he thinks it's going to be a simpler game. Like, really? Why do you assume that? It's being made by Sakurai, okay? And now he also says, well, a 45-minute Direct is just insane. Again, a 45-minute Direct, that could probably mean that there's going to be a shit ton of content to show off. This is Sakurai we're talking about, okay? He is really good at making his video games replayable, adding a shit ton of content, and making them games that can just last forever. You can go on Smash Brothers right now and still have fun with it. Not just because of the content. I mean, it's the fighting mechanics, it's the physics, the gameplay, and yes, it's the amount of just content that is just thrown in there. It's the multiple different modes that you can play. So I don't know why he's just assuming that it's going to be a simpler game than Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like, dude, why are you assuming that? I mean, it would have been like if we had known about Donkey Kong Bonanza before they've shown us the first trailer, and we were just like, oh, well, it's just going to be a simple Donkey Kong game. I don't understand why he's making these assumptions. Again, Nintendo has been doing this trend lately of making their games bigger and better than they ever have been. So, 45-minute Direct for Kirby Air Riders. I'm excited. I cannot wait. It's going to be tomorrow at like 6 in the morning, so I'm going to wake up at 5 in the morning to watch it. I'm hyped for it. He says he's excited for it, but of course, he spent like, I mean, I skipped most of his video, but he spent a lot of it just complaining about the fact that there's not a release date for Metroid Prime 4. He just spends a lot of time just, babbling about that and whatnot. But he is open-minded to it, as he says. I just think the whole reaction from him is stupid. And if there are a bunch of Metroid fans who share his exact opinion, then it just makes me not really like Metroid fans. Because I just think they're a bunch of morons, really. I feel like they just care only about Metroid, only about the lore. They could care less if it reaches a broader audience. They don't really care about other Nintendo games, even though I'm sure Rob does play other Nintendo games, but man, he will not shut up about Metroid. He is just Metroid, Metroid, Metroid. It's always about Metroid, And look, I love the lore of Metroid. I love the music and everything like that. But, considering the fact that Sakurai has made far better games than Retro Studios, this just kind of pisses me off a little bit, this reaction. Sakurai is far more talented. He's got more talent in his pinky than the entire Retro Studios. I'm sorry, but it has to be said. I'm sick and tired of people just overrating Retro Studios because they're good at making visually impressive games that are only fun to play through one time. Sakurai makes games that are fun to play always, all the time. Games you could always go back to. Anyways, I want to hear what you guys think. All 38 of my subscribers, what do you guys think about all of this? What do you think about the Kirby Air Riders Direct coming tomorrow? Are you hyped for it? Do you think it might be a disappointment like that Mario Kart World Direct? Good grief, I'm having a hard time speaking. Mario Kart World Direct that we got. That was a piece of shit direct, but it was also only 20-minute direct or 19 minutes. This is 45 minutes. I paused over here, but basically what Rob is going to say is he thinks the reason it's 45 minutes is because there's going to be lots of developer interviews and stuff like that. That would be very disappointing. I would be very pissed off. I'm hoping it's because they're going to show off a shit ton of content, gameplay, different modes to play, lots of players, just all kinds of cool shit that's going to make people want to buy this game. I'm hoping this is going to be like Super Smash Bros., but a Kirby racing game, essentially. I'm really hoping it's going to be that killer app. I hope it ends up being, even though Donkey Kong is my favorite video game character, I hope this ends up being like the game that just outsells every other Switch 2 game and every other game that's on the market right now. I hope this ends up being one of the best games ever. Kirby is a really cool character, and this Kirby Air Riders game, being made by Sakurai, I think has a lot of potential. A 45-minute direct, I'm hoping. A 45-minute direct for just one game, that should be great news. It should be great news. I'm hoping, I'm really hoping they're going to have a lot to show. I could be wrong. It might be disappointing. But I want you guys to give me your thoughts, all 38 of my subscribers. Please let me know what you think. What do you think about Rob's reaction? Do you agree with his reaction? Do you think it's a stupid reaction? I think it's a very stupid reaction. I would understand if he's mad that there's not a direct dedicated for Metroid Prime 4. He's only mad because there's not an official release date. That's stupid. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. And if you hadn't seen my last video about Metroid Prime 4, check that one out as well. Anyways, that's all I have. Just wanted to make this quick reply to what Rob had to say. And yeah, this is something that needs to change with certain Nintendo fans or people who are just Metroid fans. Like, this kind of stupidity needs to fucking change. The priorities right now are just so out of whack. Prioritizing a stupid release date over actual gameplay footage, hype, marketing, it just makes no sense to me. Anyways, that's about it. I'll see you guys later. I'll probably see you guys again tomorrow after the Kirby Air Riders Direct. So y'all take care. Leave a like, leave some comments. Let me know what y'all think. Later.